Right now, as I speak, the House is voting on a new police reform bill, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. The bill was named for George Floyd, the 46-year-old black man who died 1 month ago today after a Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck in plain view of people recording with their phones for nearly 9 minutes. The act being voted on by the House would ban the use of chokeholds and some no-knock warrants at the federal level and encourage state and local governments to do the same. Create a national registry to track police misconduct, to help keep offenders from just moving to new job after new job, something that happens quite often. Crucially, the bill would end qualified immunity for police officers, a legal shield from personal liability while on the job. It's the second piece of major legislation the House has passed in the last 6 weeks or so, including a multi-trillion-dollar coronavirus rescue package known as the HEROES Act, though that bill has not been taken up in Mitch McConnell's Senate. Joining me now is the person who engineered the passage of both those bills, Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Do you have, Speaker, do you have any hope that this, if it passes tonight, would be taken up by Mitch McConnell, particularly after Democrats filibustered the Republican version of police reform in that chamber?
Well, first of all, thank you for presenting some of the provisions of the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Yes, as we speak, people are voting. When I leave here, I'll go there to vote and to gavel the passage of that important legislation. Also that we voted tonight was the Republicans put forth the Senate bill. 100% of the Democrats voted against that toothless, short bill with so many shortcomings. A few Republicans voted with us on that. But this is an historic day for us. 1 month since the sad death, 8 minutes, 46 seconds. I can't breathe. We'll never forget that. And since then, hundreds of thousands of people in the streets, day in and day out, week in and week out, saying enough is enough. That's what George Floyd's brother said when he came to testify at the Judiciary Committee. That we would hope, as Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything, that the Republicans will catch the spark of the public sentiment in our country where people overwhelmingly support the provisions of this legislation and think enough is enough of the brutality. We don't paint every police officer, a first responder with the same brush, but we do need to correct the behavior of those who would engage in brutality as they're supposed to be protecting the people.
When you say enough is enough, I know the complaints about the system run wide and deep, and they vary from place to place. But there are some who say this isn't enough. That this particular piece of legislation wouldn't have, for instance, prevented Officer Chauvin from kneeling on the neck of George Floyd. Do you see this as the beginning of a longer march in terms of reforming public safety in America?
Well, I do think that we need to do more. This addresses police brutality. And I'm so pleased that it has the support of Eric Garner's mother, Tamir Rice's mother, John Crawford's mother, those who have lost their lives because of police brutality. We have some other issues that we have to deal with. But in terms of justice in policing, this goes a long way down the road, and it is very effective, and it gets the job done. Again, I hope that public sentiment will change the minds of some in the Senate, because to do nothing, well, let's be hopeful. Let's hope that the Senate, we've passed our bill. It's bipartisan. Some Republicans voted for it. In the Senate, it's time for them to sit down together and prepare a bill that can pass the Senate. They haven't done that so far. And in the House, we have rejected overwhelmingly, unanimously, and with Republican support, the Senate bill earlier this evening. But it's just interesting because some of the anger is also springing from other injustices that need to be addressed. And one of them is the disparity of deaths in the coronavirus pandemic. We have in the HEROES Act that you mentioned the answer: testing, testing, testing. We don't have a vaccine and we don't have a cure. God willing, we pray that science will get us that soon. But we do have an answer to test, to trace, to treat and to isolate at the same time as was just suggested. Wear the mask, wash your hands, isolate, keep your distance, so that we can kill this virus. And at the same time, I'm a temporal marker. At the same time, as we're in a pandemic, the president is going to be in the Supreme Court today. The Republicans are already there to overturn the Affordable Care Act, to take health care away from over 20 million people. The benefit for pre-existing conditions, not to prevent people from having access because of a pre-existing condition. 40 million families affected by that. The president is trying to take that away today in the middle of a pandemic. But just to bring it to this point, if you don't believe in science and you don't believe in governance, you have the tragedy that we have, a pandemic that has grown in ways that it should never have grown.